You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 21st, 2024 meeting of the Long Beach Human Resources Committee. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Call to order. Human Resource Committee, Town of Long Beach, August 21st, 2024. Any public comments? No one is in the room. Nobody on Zoom, but nobody in Zoom, but Mr. Konisek. So we're ready to get into unfinished business. Item number one, the three items that we're holding over for discussion after we complete our review of the handbook, because hopefully we can get into those items next month. Item number two under unfinished business, legal handbook review. Mike, I'll let you start since you sent an email yesterday in regard to this topic from Tina Banks.
Yeah, we've used, she's been used by the town maybe 3 years ago to, she reviewed the hiring process for the, when we were looking for a police chief. And she went through, we had her do a review of our process and of the application. So she's a labor lawyer. That's what, I think that's all she does. And she's with a much larger firm based in Chicago, but she actually, I think she's out of Maryville or somewhere in that area. Very competent. And I think you saw her note that they would be willing to review the handbook for somewhere around $1,000 unless it got overly complicated. So
hopefully we're taking care of that. Taking care of some of the complexity out of it. Brady, Nelson, and James had also, it was a verbal, but it was roughly around the same dollar amount, roughly $1,000. And then the verbal quote that I got from Jackson Lewis was $10, which is going to be, they won't touch somebody that's that go through there. He was handle. So
Who is Jackson Lewis? That's your
okay. Nationwide law specializing in human.
JD, can you lower your microphone a little bit towards you? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so the Jackson Lewis bid is not competitive compared to the other two, just from a dollar amount. I guess the question that I would pose to this group is, what would you like to recommend to the council? Is it an overall dollar amount and we make a decision on who it goes to, or who we think it should go to and a dollar amount? Because at this point, I think it's the same dollars between Ogletree, Deacons, Nash, and Brady, Nelson, and James.
Well, I would like to interject that we need to see apples versus apples. Exactly, your proposal is someone who will do a comprehensive review and probably do not going forward, but look at what is done with his.
Georgetta, is your microphone on?
Yes, I'm voting.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
just talking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, much better.
Okay, thank you. Or exactly what these others are going to, exactly what is a part of their proposal and what they're going to look at. So if we knew what they all three, if it was pretty much the same, then I would go to the dollar amount. But, and also what our needs are. do we need them to go, retrospectively? Or can we do it progressively, prospectively?
Mike, do you have any insight about your conversations with Ms. Banks about really the scope of work that Dr. Cox is speaking about? How in-depth, cursory, what is the scope of work that you believe and you communicated with her that it would be about?
Oh, so what I said to her is we need someone, we're making changes to the handbook. And what we need to do is take a look and see if what we've changed, or if things are in there that have changed that we didn't touch, that need an update, if we're still, within the guidelines of labor law. So it would be a complete review of each section, determining whether what we have is in alignment with labor law.
So
Go ahead.
did Tina, sorry, I might have missed this, but did Tina do the last review? Couple years, or she's helped us with personnel items in the past?
The last thing she did, I don't know if, so the last thing she did that I am aware of is when we were looking for a chief of police, and we had an application form that was completely out of date and maybe even I'm sure it was illegal in many respects. And we had a process, hiring process that we were going to use, and she reviewed both of those documents and made significant changes to the application form.
Mhm. So Chris Willoughby said he has no problem looking at it. Is there a difference between a labor attorney specifically and Reggie Nelson and James? To me, that's somewhat the question.
I think the answer is, I think the answer is absolutely there's a difference.
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a difference. Labor laws, as Chris has said in the past, is a very specialized area. And unless you work in it every day, you're going to be, doing research on things that people just know. So I think we're better off going with someone that does labor law all the time.
I suppose we can recommend that if that's the consensus here, and then let council decide. It's probably, Chris already has a copy of the handbook. Granted, it's not a completed copy because we're not done going through it. I guess the question too, we've gone through and made our changes. Clearly someone needs to review that. We're not anticipating that it's a ton of work or changes additionally from an attorney, hopefully. Is this how often are you supposed to review handbooks? When is the next time that this would?
On the outside, on the outside from time, no more, we would not want to let any more than 5 years would be too long, probably 3 in the short, 25 on too long, just because from my experience, labor law changes so fast. And it's such an active piece of law that.
I mean, it seems like Reggie Nelson James could suffice for sure. I think, again, I don't know the last time this was done. Mark, you don't have any idea, do you? I know portions of it may have been updated over time.
October 2022.
22, yeah. I would just,
2 years.
based on our conversation this afternoon, I'd make the motion that we ask the chair of our committee to recommend to the council that the expenditure that Mike Conasec's proposing for approximately $1,000, maybe get something formal in writing from them to have the labor attorney over, look the handbook, and then let the council decide at their meeting. So I have no objections with either one of them looking at it, but probably better off having later attorney looking at it. And I'm sure Attorney Willoughby won't be offended in any way, recommending that somebody in a special field, take a look at this. So we keep him busy enough with other things.
Okay, good.
I'd second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mike, would you be so kind as to reach out to, Ms. Banks and just get something on their letterhead that I can forward to, that summarizes your email, that I can forward to council? Thank you, and
And
then,
hey, and what are we asking, for her to start now or to wait until we've completed our work?
well, first of all, it has to be approved by council. The funds need to be approved by council.
I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna ask Tina to do, what I'm gonna be telling her. Cause she was talking about timing, when we would be asking for someone to do this.
After, what I would suggest is that after the approval, is that she could commence her work knowing that the comp, non-discrimination and reporting procedures are still areas that we're refining, that we hopefully can get knocked out in September. So she probably, after the approval, could begin the other sections that we're good with. And then we can finish up our work and let her finish up her work sometime in September, October.
Okay, great, okay, gotcha.
So Mike, the council meeting is September 9th, and our next HR is scheduled for the 18th.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
So,
And at that meeting, if either town clerk or the town administrator can speak to this, I will not be in attendance of that meeting. But I will, September 1, yeah, I will not be attending, but we'll be sending this to council once this quote comes. And the history of the other quotes to show that we've done our due diligence.
okay, and then we can discuss if you want to move that or cancel it, as the chair of the HR, or did you mean council?
Council.
Yeah.
I'll be back to the council meeting.
Be at the council meeting, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. New business. Request for health insurance, general part-time employee. Chief, do you want to give us some background of this email from August?
Good afternoon. My office was approached by our part-time building inspector asking that the town consider to provide healthcare benefits for the calendar year of 2025. I'll go back to when we originally interviewed the current building inspector, that during the interview process, the hiring process, it was made clear at that time that it was a part-time position, not to exceed 30 hours a week, 60 hours biweekly, and that there was no healthcare benefits or other fringe benefits being provided to that part-time position. At that time, there was no issue for that particular employee, but since then, the employee was hired back in March of this year, so has not been with us for a period of 1 year. 2 points I would like to make is one, the employee has not been here for a period of 1 year. And then two, we made it clear at the time of presenting the job offer that the benefit did not exist. So it'd be my recommendation to the council that we not offer such benefits starting in 2025. And then I would let Meg speak to the point that there would be a cost as well to the town if we start the process of providing healthcare benefits to our part-time employees. It can become very expensive to the town because our healthcare expense is one of our largest expenses.
That is correct. I did not prepare exact amounts, but but yes. Thinking how many employees we have that are currently part-time.
Two. Without getting into the analysis of it, it is it is a generous benefit package from a healthcare perspective of 80% of the employee, spouse, and dependents. That's far more generous than we find in public sector by far. So with that being said, is even the addition of one, I think we have a significant economic impact on town of the size. If we add more than one, it would just compound.
Correct.
Yeah, for example, just the 20% portion for a single employee, currently they're paying about $93 a paycheck. So about $186 a month is 20% of the payment. So in the whole, the town would pay approximately, what would it be, about $800 a month if we were to provide such benefits.
But then does that get into, in a matter of definition, is if you were even to extend part-time benefits for part-time, do you need the other benefits to go along with? Right, I think we start Pandora's box.
We do provide paid time off for our part-time employees as outlined in the handbook. Once they hit a specific number of hours for the year, based on quarterly tracking. So there is that benefit that they do receive. So my motion would be that we recommend to the council that we not provide such benefit to the part-time position, that being the healthcare, due to the cost and the fact that it was made clear at the initial interview that it would not be available.
I support that recommendation. Mike, any thoughts?
Just that if we do it for one, we have to do it for all. We can't pick and choose what part-timers we offer to, so I'm in agreement.
I'm in agreement also.
Okay. I think that is straightforward. In the email chain, Joy referred it to you, Mark, if you can respond back to Joy about our recommendation, but that is also consistent with the feedback we gave rather quickly when the issue came up.
Thank you.
New business item number 2 is back to the handbook, the area of employee benefits and general information. It's roughly on page 48 is where I have it, but I would give everybody a chance. The heading is outlined in yellow. If everybody wants to take a second to get to that, we can review.
JD, are you going to share that document? Are you going to share the document on Zoom?
No, the employee handbook is out for everyone on.
So Mike, it's the one through the teams that we've been working on. Are you not able to access?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Except there.
Yeah.
Meg, I think when you look at paragraph 1, in parentheses there, the unemployment insurance, for now, we should probably strike that until we get an answer. Thoughts?
Right. So JD and Mike and Georgette, Mark has asked me to look into what it would cost the town monthly to get unemployment insurance, so that if an employee claims it, then we have kind of a bucket where we can pull that from. So as opposed to just paying it if it happens.
But
So
unemployment insurance is something for the state.
That we would have to apply and pay for this.
it's the workforce development.
I mean, in my experience, it's always a part of paying deduction. As if it's a part of our matching.
Well, we had opted out it, or you must have a choice. So if and when we must. Yeah, I mean, I have access to our workforce development website, so I'm gonna first start in there and then kind of do some research on how this could work.
Because in the private sector, if I look you that all of those taxes we pay for is it's.
We don't actually pay into those too though. So, okay, that's why probably, or part of it.
And we reached out to our insurance broker inquiring about such a policy, and they referred back to us to contact the state for a program that they offer that we would have to pay into, and that's what Meg's gonna follow up on. So,
And there have not, at least to my knowledge, been too many claims, but we have,
It's relatively cheap. It's at the federal level, like FUTA and SUTA.
well, and that's what I'll analyze. Is it cheaper than what we may have to pay for 6 months of
Yeah.
random salaries? So I'll try to look at that. I'll send out what I find.
Federal Unemployment Tax Act is FUTA. SUTA. State Unemployment Tax Act, same thing. So that's FUTA and SUTA is where is the acronyms that could be employed there. And the only thing that I would say now that we're jumping into the handbook, Chief, is that for in the parentheses such as Social Security, workers' comp, and unemployment, is that just the way I read that is when I read such as is kind of just a long list of things that may, whether we keep it in there. I mean, I'm not a fan of everything in parentheses, all that, so just because it as opposed to several programs. Would you like to strike unemployment insurance or just leave it as kind of a bevy of lists of things as examples, or remove them all?
I would honestly lean towards leaving it, but as that list. But if we're never going, that's what I'll find out is if we're ever going to offer it. So,
I'd agree. I think for now, then we leave it until we get a better answer on it.
Yeah, and even to the extent is, right, such as, we want to replace that with EG. It's just kind of would reflect that it's just,
I'm fine with that.
okay.
I'm sorry, what page are we on?
Top of 48.
Great, thank you.
Employee benefits general statement, the paragraph under that, it's highlighted in yellow.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. The next paragraph again is just, it's just picking up grammar verification. The next paragraph, the following list of benefits. When I reviewed this benefits, all of them applied to regular full-time and part-time employees. Because I just put that at the top and remove that from each bullet point just to be a little bit more concise with the language, and then I included the bereavement.
Yeah, I think that's cleaner, looks good.
Yeah. One more sentence there.
I'd have to look. Do we provide longevity to our part-time employees? Some reason I'm thinking we may not. I just want to verify.
I'm just pulling up, the salary ordinance where it's mentioned.
Yeah, it looks like regular part-time employees working at least 1,000 hours per calendar year will receive 50% per year. Regular part-time employees working at least 1,500 hours per year will receive 75. That's something we need to look at, Mike, because I want to say past practice, we may not have been doing that. And we probably need to look at your budget for next year too, to make sure that you have that factored in.
Yeah, when we did longevity at the beginning of the year, it was my first month and Laurel knew more about it than I did. It does say right here at the bottom of the first page of the salary ordinance, eligibility for a longevity bonus begins after the employee's completion of 3 full years of employment.
Right.
So I guess that's probably stated. That's a bit confusing because then you need to go to the longevity portion, which maybe we're gonna get to.
Yeah, I'm looking at the longevity portion on page 53 of the handbook.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're okay. Like one of the employees I can think of is the water department office manager will just be coming up on maybe 3 years and be eligible for longevity. But then we need to look at like our building commission secretary and that. We need to take into consideration some of those general part-time or regular part-time positions. So just something to think about.
Right.
Full-time.
Well, and I think both of those positions are not at, well, building commission might be coming up on 3 years, or she's only at 2, so it could happen
The other thing we gotta look at is
for
it,
26 then.
and we need to look and see if they're classified as general part-time or regular part-time, because we have 2 different classifications for part-time. So, the regular part-time would make them eligible, I believe the general part-time are exempt from those.
Well, I think we have to also have to go back to the beginning and say, what is the purpose of longevity pay, right? It's to encourage people to stay longer, to increase that benefit, and to recognize the amount of time they've been with us. And you know, I'm not sure with part-time employees, what is this a major issue that we're trying to encourage them through this practice to stay?
It's not a major issue, I just wanna make sure that we're not having any oversight and cheating them out of the pay. I would just feel bad if we have it in the handbook and we haven't been paying this benefit to them.
No, that's a problem. I agree with you. That's a problem. Yep.
From a handbook perspective, though, the language in the section it's referring to is regular full-time and regular part-time employees, which ties to the remaining part-time. So at least from a handbook perspective, we're being consistent. And I think that was the initial part of the question relative to the handbook. And then the only, in the next section, is that the following benefit is only for regular full-time employees, which is the public employees retirement. That exclusion.
Oh, it says mandatory up top, never mind.
Okay, and then I cleaned up the next sentence since we don't have short-term, and long-term disability. We got, is clean that up. Then from the perspective of just the current pay that's put in this matrix, just to clarify exactly where we're at.
Yeah, where are we, what page are we on?
Now 40, bottom 48, top 49 of the matrix of the current funding levels, offered benefits are below.
Thank you.
That reflects what we had talked about previously. I'm wondering from a perspective of clarification on the short-term disability, would we like to in there say not available? Just to ensure we're stating it, we're confirming it and not leaving it.
Probably, but I wonder where else that's stated. And I'm fine to add it to the matrix. What do you think, Mark?
No, I agree. I think I'm both short and long term because we don't have policies that cover that right now. And then in the perf, the employee is paying 3%. And then Meg, you can give the percent, isn't it like 14 something?
11.3, I believe.
Okay, and then Meg can
Or
give,
I'll confirm. I think it's
you might be right, it might be,
solid 11 or 11.3, I think.
yeah, employee pays 3%.
I'm gonna put in 11.3. That's pretty healthy.
But you have to be here 10 years to get the employer portion. So.
Still good. Okay, so public perf, I put in the 11.3. The Meg. After
Yeah.
10 years. Just to clarify, and I mean that. Well, still. Okay,
Meg, we should probably add something about the 250 contribution that the town makes into Hoosier Start. Remember, we talked about this previously, and I believe
Yeah,
Deanna
I
found.
need to follow up on that. Remember, we're behind.
Yeah.
Potentially, but, okay.
So the town provides $250 annually to each employee that participates in the Hoosier Start. The town contributes $250 as long as the employee matches, that amount. There was an ordinance that we found reflecting that.
I think this came up just looking at the budget is when we kind of realized that, so.
Hoosier Start, 250.
Employer contribution, then the employee's got to match that. That's one time annually. So I think, Meg, when we checked, didn't we make the 2022 or 23 payment? And we got to do this year yet? Something for that
I
effect.
think we still need to, but yes. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think this spells it out clearly for everyone, not just the employee, but the employer as well. Does this matrix in page 49 adequately reflect what's going on?
Yeah, life insurance is 50,000. No employee, contribution 100% paid for by the employer. Yep.
Questions regarding the benefits provided by the town should be directed to the employee's department head. Okay. Bereavement leave. Everyone's full time. Back, make it part of that. Bereavement leave, I'm just noticing here that we need to regular full-time and regular
that's gonna be my suggestion.
part-time, right? So that's not consistent with the previous language. And then the definition here of what family includes. Extended leave is needed. Right. Right, that's not consistent except for my spelling. Good.
Mhm.
Holiday pay. Town employees, any issue with town employees other than town marshals?
No,
About those federal holidays that, yeah, and I don't know the answer to those.
Whether they're days off.
That was just my read, and
I guess the labor attorney might be able to answer that for us if we have to provide those.
Yeah, perhaps we can throw a comment in there.
yeah, to follow up on that. I'm making a note too as well.
The only reason I changed the language here about whether the decision to be made in the town administrator is part of it is if the holiday falls on Saturday or Sunday, do we want some department Thanksgiving Friday off versus Monday off, and having inconsistency with departments as opposed to the town administrator making it consistent so that there's not differences between departments.
No, I'd agree with that. That's the way we did it. Like last year, we either took the Friday, I think it was Monday. And then we just, shared that information through email with all the employees, so everybody was off at the same time. So that town hall was closed at the appropriate time. So yeah, I would say that I would make the decision, or the town administrator would.
Okay. Holiday. Yes.
Oh, yeah, are you saying that if the holiday falls on a Saturday, then it would be a Friday, it would be,
Friday or Monday.
Friday. If it fell on a on a Sunday, then you get the Monday off, or is it just one day? You know, consistently for,
The town administrator would make a decision for all town employees, whether the holiday will be observed on a Friday or Monday.
okay,
If it fell on any weekend, on any day.
yeah, then we get,
It's just that the distinction here is that the town administrator would make the decision instead of department heads, so that the street department can take.
yeah.
Water takes.
Yeah, that I understand, but I just wanted to know, whether or not, if it fell on a Saturday, then you would have that Friday off. Say if it was, Labor Day fell on that Saturday, you have that Friday off. But if Labor Day fell on that Sunday, it will be the Monday off.
That's not currently.
Okay, just checking, because that's the way I think the federal government does it. And I know the state, that I have to say this, but there's some states in this coast which does it the same way. So it switches up if it falls on either a Saturday, they will take the Friday. It's known and communicated throughout. And if it fell on a Sunday, but you will select one day. Say if it fell on a Saturday or a Sunday, it would always be on a Friday. Or a Monday, depending upon what the administrator has designated for that year or each particular holiday.
For the way that I read this is per holiday.
Okay, so that's for each particular holiday. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Town marshals. Mike, you had some comments here in this section that you had added. Do you want to jump in here?
So if someone works on a holiday, if they have to come in to, a street emergency on Easter. Oh, Easter's on a Sunday, but on Memorial Day. If they come in for an emergency for 8 hours, do they get their time and a half plus the holiday?
Are we talking about a street?
Double time and a half?
A street department employee, Mike, or a police officer?
No, the town employee, the
Oh.
street department employee.
Yeah, so let's say it's Christmas Day. Christmas Day, they get the day off. If they're called in to plow snow, the hours that they work, they would get time and a half. They would get overtime for that. So they're
Okay,
given-
so if they work 8 hours, they'd get, in essence, double time and a half for the 8 hour period. Okay. And then the town marshals, their holidays are 12 paid hours or 8 paid hours?
Well, the same as their shift. So they would work their normal shift, and for every hour worked, they get paid holiday pay, which is their straight pay. So if they work a 12-hour shift, in addition to their day's pay, they get 12 additional hours at straight pay.
Okay, so for the 13 holidays, they're actually getting more hours of pay than the other town employees. Okay. So then the next one is, all officers shall work their regular scheduled, all officers shall work their regular schedules regardless of holidays, exempting all other authorized leaves of absence. I don't know what that means. Exempting all other authorized leaves of absence.
Does that mean I take a piece of the day for Christmas Day? And therefore, yeah, it is strangely worded, and why it's in there, it's hard to say, trying to figure out what it means.
I guess, Mark, what happens when regular scheduled employees scheduled for Christmas requests it off, a different marshal covers?
And if that different marshal covers, then he gets the holiday pay, not the one that took the day off. So the holiday pay only goes to the person working that day. So if an officer chose to take PTO time on a holiday and another deputy fills that schedule, that deputy is then eligible to get holiday pay for that day.
I guess it's the authorized leaves of absence. When I read leaves of absence, I'm thinking of different things than PTO. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know.
Well, you got personal leaves of absence, you got medical leaves of absence. I just don't understand. I'm just
Yes,
having a hard
is it
time. The
just-
words are English, but the meaning escapes me.
Is it just stating they have to work the holiday if they're scheduled unless it's approved? Is that essentially what it's saying?
I think so, so that they can't dodge holidays, I guess. So, and I'll tell you, in my 4 years, I haven't had a request yet where an officer has asked to have the holiday off. They would just as soon be here to get the, double pay more or less to work the holiday. So it's not an issue. The shifts get covered on the holidays. So,
Absence may be
Do we
granted
even
after.
need, do we need that last section? Let's read the two sentences together. And I'm just wondering if we can,
I'd agree. It probably doesn't need to be there because I'm gonna have to approve the time off irregardless. So if they ask for time off, they have to have it approved.
yeah, I'm wondering, do we just put a period behind regular scheduled regardless of the holidays? Or just give, you want to dump the whole sentence?
Yeah.
This would be a great one to ask the labor attorney. If there's a reason that this needs to be in there, but
Yeah, I mean, this is, well, yeah, you're right, but I don't think this is even a legal question. I don't even understand what it's saying, so, anyway, I'm good with taking out that sentence.
Yeah, interesting what you said. And part-time. Cleaning some stuff up there. Mike, you have a question here, what holiday pay introductory period employees entitled to?
Right. So it says here, it says general, part-time, and temporary employees are not eligible for holiday pay. And then we have a classification of introductory period employees. Okay? That's a different classification. What are they entitled to? Mark, I think your officers have an introductory period of 1 year, right?
That classification of, did I understand the question? A classification versus a period of time?
I don't know. What?
Look at the classifications and see. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
I don't know.
I'm just looking for it here. Introductory. So
Or period of time.
here, the introductory period for police officers is 12 months. The introductory period is provided to allow the employee to see if they are satisfied with the position and for the department head to evaluate the new employee as to performance and suitability for the position.
What page are you on, Mike?
Now I'm on page 13. Yeah, thank you. So, so during that first year, what are they entitled to?
Holiday?
What do you do with their holidays when they're in introductory period?
Yeah, past practice, they've received it. The full-time employees have.
Because they're still, while they're still in this introductory, it's probation period, they're still general full-time employees. For their categories, it's just full-time employees in probation.
Right.
Okay. All right, that answers it. So that answers that question.
Okay, and then, jury duty language? Anybody have issue with jury duty language?
Jury duty.
That's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Oh, longevity pay. The only thing real changes here is just grammar suggestions from Microsoft here. So.
So the first paragraph of page 56, employees, is this, oh, I see, this is grammar, I got you. Employees become eligible for longevity on January 1st. After you get some food. Okay, gotcha. Yep, Are you taking out that eligibility for longevity bonus begins after the employee's completion of 3 full years of employment? Is that just, that's redundant? Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Just
up-
the
it's up
redundancy.
top.
Yeah, it's already within the definition.
Yep.
So other than that, any other issues with longevity pay?
No. No.
Leaves of absence. This is just grammar changes. Again, the only other thing here is town of Long Beach request for leave of absence form is my comments to add this to the appendix when for the lawyer.
Now, what's interesting here is the introductory employee is not eligible for a leave of absence. The first line says a medical leave of absence will be granted to all non-introductory regular, full-time, and regular part-time employees.
That is interesting. Good catch there. I'm guessing. I mean, medical leave of absence. The introductory.
Again, what's legal, right?
I don't know, it's gonna be legal. Plus, if a police officer is hurt and needs leave of absence in that first year.
If it's a non-duty injury, workman's compensation would cover it, they'd have to cover it.
Yeah. No, but this is medical leave. Like, this isn't worker comp.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is the short-term disability program. It speaks to the short-term disability program. We don't have that currently.
Yeah.
That's a good catch, Mike. I think, I'm just gonna put a comment. Well, first of all, is that something we want to support is it's granted to everyone except for the people in this introductory period. Is
Mark, do you any recollection of a reason that was added?
someone comes in the
Like on the police side at all?
No, I don't.
Just I come to town on beach. It's a good job, I get paid well, I get good benefits. I didn't disclose to you that I have a medical issue,
Right,
and then
this is,
I disclosed that 7 months into my employment while I'm in non-productive period. Now I can move off.
I think that's one we should leave and put a note for the attorney that reviews it. It's my thought, but.
Just being ultra pessimist, but that's why it's there.
Mhm.
I hope someone would do that, but.
I think the same on the short-term disability too, because we don't have programs, I don't believe, in place for that right now.
But I think for short-term disabilities, a short-term and long-term disability, I think you can have waiting periods. This seems different for some reason. I think I agree with Meg that this needs to be, we need some guidance here.
Employee, the next question here, Mark, you jumped ahead, right? The employee with medical leave will be compensated according to short-term disability program. We don't have.
We need to check on that. I don't think we do.
Yeah, see, because I think short-term disability programs, there's a guidelines for that, you know, what's short-term disability and when does it start and all that stuff. The leave of absence, the medical leave of absence, that's kind of it's on the fly kind of a thing. I broke my arm, whatever. I need surgery on it. Well, can I get a medical leave of absence?
Yeah.
Medical clearance as part of their,
Yes.
hiring, then, there's nothing you can do. And if they do get a clearance and tell their physician to not put that in there, then, you're not liable because they lied. Okay, do you understand? what I'm saying?
100%. I follow the logic 100%. There's a job currently available right now with really great benefits.
Mhm.
If I have an illness with substantial costs associated with it, I'm gonna come try and get that job. Those benefits are real, it's real money to have health insurance.
Right,
6 months in, I disclose it. But there's no medical clearance for that employment position that's why it exists. Short-term disability kicks in after day seven of the incident to day 90. Long-term disability kicks in day 91.
Mhm.
But I completely understand.
Mhm.
And I think that's why that language is in there. Unfortunately. You ready to say what?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I know it has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, can we still have it in there?
Yeah, I did.
If I-
That's, yeah.
So,
And remind me, when we talked
So,
about.
JD
Was introductory for any, I know we talked about it concerning police officers back, it was at some point earlier in the handbook, but is that for any regular or part-time or full-time employee? That introductory period? Can I consider?
No. no, that's a police only issue. Feature or whatever you want to call it.
So then does that line only, it's,
Yeah, the attorneys.
then we're singling out the police officers in that line? Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
As the,
I'm gonna highlight that,
okay,
just the non-introductory, and we get through this, just the attorney, actually, we highlighted, but yeah, I believe it's only the introductory period is only applicable to police officers in this handbook.
and if that's the case, then we want to leave this language, should it apply to? Correct, yes, okay.
So can I put a comment in there then, check with legal counsel or something?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, I highlighted it as well, but it doesn't hurt to double check. As we move into the parts about short-term disability. Yeah. Right, I'm gonna add a comment in here as well, is if we don't have a short-term disability program, why do we have language about short-term disability?
They may have had it at one time.
It's just old, is my guess.
I think we can leave it for now, put a question mark next to it, that we need to check with our brokers to see what the cost will be to the town. Because we're in the process of getting updated insurance quotes, so.
And do you recall when we talked with that other firm about quotes? That was in here.
TriNet, when we spoke to them.
Yeah, that was. I did that from a benefit standpoint, those were in.
Right.
As in those would be included in the quote, is what you're saying?
They were back in March.
Okay.
That March when we did that.
February, March, this first quarter.
Okay.
Okay, medical leave of absence continued. Any comments there? FMLA,
Well, the misspelling we could change, right? Okay. Okay. Military leave,
And I don't have anything on military leave,
no.
personal leave of absence besides, where's the form? I,
Hey, that's a good point. We've referred to, we're not, we've talked about forms going into the appendix. Are we, are we adding those? I don't,
I
I know-
know there's a drawer in my office that has a good amount of forms, I believe.
yeah,
So I will look in there.
okay,
No, we're quite organized in ways, so.
yeah, Yeah.
And Deanna's very knowledgeable on much of this, so I will ask her to.
yeah, and we can assemble the forms and have,
Now, whether we have all of these forms and how dated they are is what I would be concerned about.
yeah, I
That
would
they
think,
are quite dated, some of them, but I will look at that.
yeah, I would think that incorporating forms into legal review would also be important.
Okay.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. If we could find them and just drop them in here in the appendix area, we could review them as part of this review, so. Whatever,
It was the military. I know there was one that was right up there.
Leave of absence, I mean, there's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of, says,
you
okay,
know, you can probably do a word, you can do a word search for forms.
what'd you say?
You can do a word search for a form,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll pick them all up for you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Shall we just do big time off PTO? We good? I don't have any changes here, assuming that these are accruals. These accruals are correct, and then it's negative, it's better than anyone.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not, I'll become more familiar with PTO, with Laurel, and I just discussed today that hopefully, and maybe at the beginning of next year, we could try to do the PTO through the accounting system. But I need to talk to Mark if he's aware why that hasn't been done in the past, and, because I think it could be done as opposed to manually on our end. So we'll discuss that and see.
That's preferred. It's just in the past, no one was willing to take it on.
Right.
The employees would love to be able to see it on their paycheck, what their remaining hours are. Currently, we have to hand write it on there. We do it like once a quarter, just to let them know. But yeah, if the
Yeah, so-
payroll software can do that for us, it'll be wonderful. And then we obviously, as you know, we have the spreadsheet that tracks everybody's hours, so it's kept electronically.
Is there a payroll model in Civic? Is that the way it works? Is that how it's done?
Correct, it's through Civics. Mhm. Yeah, I believe it is in there, just no.
The trigger that will be there is the scroll, and then your,
How you start it, yeah,
yeah, their start.
Yeah.
And then trigger their start date, and
and how we tell it to set up, right?
yeah, that's the rule, that's the 6.67 hours times their start date, that, in my experience, you'll drive off those two, if the software is any.
So yeah, that's just a little project for beginning of the year. Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Okay, I would like to jump to the top page of 59. Or actually, it's the regular part-time employee benefits. Here it introduces a new concept of the carryover or sellback of PTO. First of all, right, the tracking of PTO is in the process of being cleaned up, that's good, but sellback, is that a standard practice for the town, is selling back PTO?
This was added when the handbook was updated. The council passed a sellback option that unused PTO up to 40 hours for an 8-hour employee and 60 hours for a 12-hour employee, that they were eligible if they chose not to take their PTO during the year, that they could sell it back to the town. If approved by the department head, and the budget obviously has the funds to cover the expense. For example, I know one of our deputies right now is looking at selling back 60 hours of his PTO for this year, which for me as a department head is a cost savings to the town, because we would, let's just say he's making $30 an hour. We would buy back his 60 hours at $30 an hour for $1,800. But if I had to cover his 60 hours at time and a half, then you've got 60 hours at an additional $15 an hour, because we're paying somebody to cover that work period. It's a cost savings to the town.
Sure,
Yeah, that's correct for the officers, but for all the other employees, it's an expense if they sell back.
What do you mean the other ones?
The non-officers,
So like the street department?
yeah,
yeah, no one's gonna.
sell it back and continue to work.
Nobody's gonna cover for them, right?
The part that I would say, there's to me an economic argument. There's also when we're forcing people to take PTO because we want people resting, especially police. That's just a philosophical point of view of, besides the fact that this has budgeting implications, is that can come up at the end of the year. I encourage people to take that. I think taking time off is healthy.
So to your point, JD, the council did bring that exact point up. That's why they put in line 1, employees are strongly encouraged to use their earned PTO time each year. I will say, like the one deputy I just used as an example, he just came back from a vacation. He's getting ready to take another one this fall, and still is going to have 60 hours that he'll end up selling back this year, just because he's not choosing to, take off that additional, week and a half of work.
But it can carry over forward. But again, if this is already, if there's an ordinance to the point, there's nothing seriously about it.
Yeah, previous council approved it, and that's why we put it into the handbook. So, and then the 40 hours also in here, we'll be getting to it shortly about you can borrow from the incoming year. In the, 2 years that this has been in place, I've only had one employee who was ill, had to borrow from the incoming year, and then that was subtracted off in January. Let's say they got 200 hours in January, then they started out with 160. And only one employee's ever done that, and that was because of illness and that, so.
Because we pay in arrears, yeah,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So you always can grab that money.
Yes, and that's in here.
Yeah, so which is the aspect.
My only thought would be if we were going to change something like this, when would we implement that change? To not really upset. I mean, we're leaving it sounds like anyways.
Well, it's not like we need ordinance,
To change it.
right? I mean, that's the other piece. If there's an ordinance in here, I mean, Mark is referring to.
Well, I don't know if it was an ordinance, but it was approved by council when this was added, when the handbook was updated, because it'll be in the minutes of the council meeting that we had discussion about adding, the PTO carryover and the sellback. Those were new additions. I guess the whole PTO section is new, because previous there was vacation hours and sick hours. And then when this was all changed to PTO, personal time off, that's when this entire section of the handbook was changed. And then some of these other caveats were added at that particular time. So PTO is new to the town.
So if we're gonna look closer at this, what we need to do is have a report on what's been paid out in terms of PTO, how much time has been sold back and all that stuff. We should come at it as a business issue, not I don't think we should do this. We should, what is it costing? How is it impacting the town?
And I can tell you the few hours that have been sold back from the few employees that have taken advantage of this has not overrun the budget, hasn't overrun the funds. It's either,
No, I understand, but if we could come back with a spreadsheet that shows that, then we say, it's not an issue. This is a non-issue. Let's move on. But the data will tell us, right? If someone wants to pursue this, if someone here wants to do,
I can add it to my list of to-dos. I can't guarantee when I'll do that whole study, but I can add it to my, and does this apply as well when someone retires, that they would be paid out on, the 40 or the 60 hours?
Yeah, that's what happened was the end of, with my retirement dates, the end of the month, or I had 160 hours and I retired. Right, PTO hours, what happened?
with a sergeant.
Certain stupid, right, it's. There's one.
Yeah, like he stopped working in February and got paid into April. So, because PTO time carried him.
But was he sort of grandfathered in?
No, I mean, that could be, let's say an employee January 16th of next year decides that they want to retire next year, and they give us sufficient notice to say, I'm gonna retire in end of February, and they start using PTO, as long as it's approved, PTO can carry them out all the way until, end of February.
And this, Meg, to your point, is the couple sections down, employee voluntary separation, which is what this would classify as, is it does not state. It just states the amount that they'll be paid at. It doesn't state the mechanism or the timing that they will be. Any accrued and unused PTO will be paid to the employee at the employee's regular rate of pay. But this doesn't say.
Yeah, I guess the timing, right? Okay. Just thinking in my head.
Yeah. But before that, Mark already covered, I don't have any issue with PTO, borrowing PTO, because that money can be deducted, which is one, legal, two, we have the ability to do it. The PTO transfer, never heard of that one before.
That was new and approved by the council a little over a year ago, when one of our employees who their spouse was expecting, had a medical emergency with the unborn children, was nearing running out of PTO. Another employee came forward with recommendation to the council to allow other employees to donate their PTO to another employee to help with the medical need. The council asked my advice on it, which we had done a similar example like this at my previous employer, being another city, and they allowed it for an individual with cancer to help them through some financial hardships, and that council approved it, and we added this to the town handbook with council approval. So it's only occurred one time since this has been in place, and I think there was a total maybe of just shy of 200 hours that were transferred to that employee from probably 5 to 7 other employees. So.
Yeah, for me, again, this is an issue tracking. Right, and this is if we wanted to do this, make sure that once the PTO module is up and running, that this is a matter of tracking, right? Donating time, And then if it's not tracked, like, it might take time. Yeah, I've never, that's a new one for me. Employee termination. There's nothing there. I'll leave it to, I'm gonna go through here and just do some edits. This is based on grammar. So the exemptions, my comment here, exemptions to PTO is department heads are granted the authority, or does that need to go through the town administrator? The only reason, again, I ask is just consistency within departments of how we do things. PTO is also an area that is very much regulated.
Are you under the voluntary separation part?
I'm two down, exemptions, voluntary separation. Of responsibility.
Oh, okay, exceptions, yeah, that's, got
Exceptions.
it. Okay, no, that's where I was asking, okay.
That's just a question for
Oh, department, I see.
the consistency issue. And I would leave. That's really to. Mark, it's really to you. It's with it.
I have no problem with it falling to the, town administrator to make sure everything's consistent across the board with the other departments. So
And you typically,
I,
I look at my employees' timesheets, but Mark also
I see.
approves all of the timesheets. And
Right, because that did just, yeah.
Wouldn't it be, you know, you could take it to the town administrator with input from the department head, because the department head knows what the workload is gonna be, right? They should have some say in it.
how would that work with Mark and I, for example? I guess am I considered a department head of the three employees that fall under me? Yeah. Okay.
Anyone? So department heads in consultation with the town administrator?
Well, who's got the final say?
I mean, here, it's the
I know,
department.
this is fine. You know what? This is fine. We don't have to nail that down, I suppose.
Yeah, department heads have a lot of latitude throughout the entire handbook.
Yeah.
Well, and I think even, you know, you have the clerk's office and then you have the street and water, so. And well, and police, but I just mean besides Mark, you know, Mark handles the police, so.
Yeah.
When Tom or Greg work with Mark in that decision, that makes sense to me, and that makes sense to me, so.
Mhm.
Final say though, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I would imagine that their consensus would be built.
So what are we going with? Are granted the authority, yep, good.
Yeah, just the next line is just grammar here. Continuing within paid time off in the management section is,
I'm sorry, can we go back to the up one page to employee voluntary separation on bottom of page 63?
yeah, we got it. Like,
Pardon me?
yeah, we're there.
Okay, so upon separation from employment, any accrued and unused PTO hours will be paid to the employee at the employee's regularly hourly rate. My comment there is paid as a lump sum, we should not allow employees to use that to extend their last day worked. So if the person leaves on January 1st and has 4 months of PTO, we shouldn't allow them to say their last day of work is February, March, April, the last day of April.
Why?
JD was asking why, Mike?
Because it costs us additional benefit money. We pay medical and life and everything else for those 4 months. If you're quitting, you're quitting.
I guess that was what I was alluding to was retirement versus, do you?
Yeah, retirement, right. Correct.
For me, the one happened as.
And that was my point. When would we make a change like that? Because, what's been done and where's the change in the cutoff for employees who are currently here, who know how things have been handled.
If the district wanted this would get everybody, that would be the days. For me, and while I understand from an economic perspective, Mike, I've also just seen where people play the game on whether they take the PTO while being employed, come back, work for a few weeks and then leave. But I definitely understand the point is that it's not just salary, it's not just wages that we're talking about. It's the additional expenses that go along with payroll that can be in excess. Here's 35-40% base pay.
Yeah.
But this would be.
Yeah, I mean, these are big discussions, right? For how we handle all of this, so.
So is are we to make recommendations now, or are we just looking at grammar in these things?
Well, we've been making recommendations all the way through. I don't know why we'd stop on page 60 out of 64.
Right.
I think just to add to the discussion that, and it's just, for whatever reason, it's been that way. So private sector compared to municipal government, you can compare county government, city government, town government. When you look at tenured employees and they get ready to announce their retirements, some will say, I'm retiring on January 4th. And the very following pay period, they pay them for all of their, eligible benefits coming to them. Other employees will say, they'll serve notice on the employer and say, starting January 4th, I respectfully request to vacation out, use all my eligible time, carry me to whatever time. I just had a dear friend of mine, same thing. He retired this year, notified them, and 6 weeks later, he was still on the books and then off the books. So it's been permitted in other, municipal agencies. It's been a practice in police, fire, street, water, public works employees.
And we have a few long-term employees who will retire. We have not had that many retirements over the last 20 years. So, and again, some of those employees have been here a long time. So to change it, right? Yeah, I don't know.
Your last two employees to do it were your previous police chief and the chief marshal, the sergeant. Both of them gave notice, began to vacation out, and when their time ran out, eventually then that was their last pay period. So, just sharing some of these.
Oh, this might be a good time to do it then.
I think this is enough.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, with at least what I can think of as 3 very long-term employees. If we're just looking to save the town money, clearly a good time to do it. It's just,
I think it might not be another good question for the labor attorney to ask that,
Yeah.
you know, what's their experience dealing with other government entities when it comes to this very topic, so.
Yeah, Mike, do you want to amend your note in here and also
Yeah.
just for input from the attorney?
Yep.
Make it-
Yep. If I can figure out how to do this, and then more thread actions. I don't know how to do it. Okay, I think I have to just put, okay. Okay, good. Oh, you didn't see, okay. Okay,
back
thank you.
Good, yeah, paid time off. The management, I think we're on page 61 here. Mike, you had some questions here about this paid time off, and it's a good question. Why is this being singled out for distribution? I think the question has been answered, honestly, is that if this was a new addition to the handbook within a few years,
Last 2 years.
last 2 years, is that's probably why it's actually being singled out. I don't know, to your point, I don't know if it's necessary now, but that's the reason why.
I would agree. Because there was such a change. Sick days were eliminated and converted to PTO.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and strike
Okay.
that language.
Okay,
Are PTO hours entered on the employee's time card, are regular PTO reports generated showing PTO? That question has been answered.
It's their PTO hours are recorded in 2 areas. They're reported on the time request card that they turn in asking for PTO. And then there's a section that says remaining PTO is on there. And then it's verified a second time, well, actually the third time. Second time would be on the timesheet, the biweekly timesheet that Clerk Collins' office receives every 2 weeks. Even if they take 0 PTO hours that pay period, we still write the PTO hour balance on every biweekly timesheet. And then we have a spreadsheet that tracks it as a third way of verifying it so that there's no omissions, no oversights. So it's actually triple checked. So.
Can we go back to that first paragraph? After the continued, it says each department head is responsible for encouraging their staff to use their PTO time annually.
Sure.
Didn't we say that under the PTO up above? So that might be, I don't know if we feel the need to keep that or not. I guess it doesn't say department heads. It says employees are strongly encouraged to use their earned PTO time each year. So if we want to leave that, that's fine.
It's fine, we've got it done too.
Suppose the top doesn't say department heads are encouraging them, so if you guys want to leave it, that's fine.
Mike, PTO
Yeah.
use and track. Good question here. Who is management?
yeah. Well, we know what? We have to go back. Remember we had that thing before we started this, we had like 7 different names for managers and department heads and stuff like that. We're gonna have to go back at the end and pull up that list again and see if we've consolidated all that.
Yeah,
But-
right now, I would propose that we change the word management to department heads. Department heads has been a consistent term. As if someone's got a question, you go to the department head.
I agree.
Yeah,
And then Mark, is this line true that when we hire somebody, we provide the forms or the process
Yes.
properly?
Mhm. During the orientation.
Okay,
And we actually go through the handbook with them during orientation and explain that we have no sick days, that we have PTO, and that's a combination of vacation and sick.
very good.
Yeah, we've got the new employee tracking, orientation tracking, right? Form?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, you've got a comment here. An employee with 5 years of service requests a week of PTO 6 months
There's more here.
before the date. An employee in the same department with 25 years of service requests a PTO 3 weeks before. That's the seniority of the 25-year employee, not the 5-year employee.
Once again, what page you on?
We're in the PTO. They said where your comment is.
What page?
I think it's, for me, it's 61.
61. Okay, okay, I'm back. And I had a comment here. I don't know what comment, what?
It starts with scenario.
Oh, yeah,
So-
scenario. Okay, scenario. Got it. Thank you. An employee with 5 years of service requests a week of PTO 6 months before the PTO date. An employee in the same department with 25 years of service requests the same PTO week off 3 weeks before the date of the PTO. Does the seniority of the 25-year employee bump the 5-year employee out of requested PTO? What's the purpose of listing seniority as a decision cutter? Yeah, thank you. Well, how did the whole idea of seniority come in here? We've never used that in any other part of this, of the handbook. Now all of a sudden it pops up.
I guess taking that scenario, who's the decider? Just the department head again? And along with the town administrator, as opposed to those two items? Is that what you're
Yeah,
thinking?
right. Yes, correct. Right.
As opposed to seniority and you could, I mean, schedule demand.
Yeah, right.
Mark, do you have any?
I don't know how that sounds about.
I don't have problems striking it. We've never had an issue with that for the most part. So I think really what it means is if I and another employee ask for the same day off within a reasonable amount of time, that if only one person can get it, it's going to be the most senior person, but it hasn't been an issue. So I would just say strike the whole thing. So seniority plays a part in how much PTO you get. As far as the use of it, it comes down to department head approval. So.
Okay.
Okay. Disclaimer. This policy cannot address every situation that could possibly arise. The workplace employees managers should bring unique situations to Human Resource Committee for review. The town reserves the right to adjust PTO balance to correct hours of PTO incorrect credit to employer. Corrections and errors are limited to the PTO issues. Why is this in place? I'm not, Mike, you raised a good question here. Is that why is this disclaimer even here? We don't, by law, if we make a mistake on PTO tracking, you have to correct it. There's nothing to, not trust.
Mhm.
Thoughts?
It seems not necessary. I think it's just I think for all of us, it seems like it's a given, so.
Yeah.
So
I'm just gonna strike it off.
and I guess the only thing, is that part of our process that an HR, is that stating that that's what must be followed as opposed to Mark or I, our discretion at bringing something before the HR committee?
To be honest, right, again, consistency throughout the handbook is if I have an issue, I work with the department. And now we're interjecting 5 of us, which by the way, 2 of the people out of 5 of us are department heads. And we have,
Yeah,
there's 2 of the department heads that report to the general, so.
You okay with striking that, Mark?
I've got no problem.
Defense, really for employees and public officials. The only thing I changed here again was grammar. This is, I didn't go to law school. This is way out of bounds for my comfort level.
It's another section the attorneys can look at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I found it interesting here that the smoking language is put. This is where it's inserted into the handbook. After the.
Mark, any idea, was this all put in the 2022 or who knows?
I think the smoking's there just because of the state statute about public buildings and being 8 feet away from the building, all that type of
Oh,
stuff.
not the smoking, I meant
Yeah,
the top part, yeah.
because we're a municipal building.
Like, is that required in the handbook? No,
I think it's just in there for everybody's knowledge.
yeah. Sorry, I don't mean the smoking part.
That, and then if you have an employee who wants to thumb their nose at smoking, and then you can point to the statute in the handbook and say, you know, can't smoke on town property.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't mean the smoking part, I was still up at the,
Indemnity.
yeah.
Yeah, it's make it stretch.
So we're gonna, that's what either Brazy Nelson or the labor attorney will review for us.
Yeah,
What is, do we want to put a note as to what is actually required, if any, in the handbook?
I'm sure,
I didn't read through this whole thing, but I mean,
I'm sure,
or they'll look at it, okay.
and I think to the extent is different attorneys, if you ask 2 attorneys one question, you get 3 answers. Is that, is this true? Do we want them to be more brief, or do we want them to be more
Details.
detailed?
And clearly I'm an elected official, so how do, you know, do I want to protect myself in here? I'd rather, do what's best for the town, so.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
No. And on that end, besides smoking and the personal cell phone use that were added here, the only thing I'm gonna put in here for the. No, right, this is the best place for this, right?
Right at the bottom.
Yeah. Same thing is gonna be, is that maybe they can do a cut and paste. I'm feeling. Okay, anybody else? We're on page 64 of 64. And if you have, I see that you've taken some notes on question. I think at this point, if you just want to put it into the document.
Yeah, I can do that.
It was,
Or would you rather me email out kind of the open-ended items?
I would say,
Or just put it in the handbook
maybe no for the attorney.
in here? Okay.
Yeah, and then at one point before we send it off to the attorney, I think we all should probably have a last look on whether. Is it a question for discussion, or is it a question for legal within our comments that we've made? Granted, we have 3 more sections to review that we've kind of tabled. But I think if we keep everything here,
Mhm.
they can see.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember at the beginning, we didn't necessarily know we were going to have, or maybe we did, have an attorney also look at it. And then I do feel like there's 1 or 2 items that we were gonna come back to, or,
Yeah, and those are
and
these,
you put those, yeah, okay,
but yeah.
okay.
All right, good stuff. We are making progress, unfinished business of the 3 sections. Hopefully we can take care of them next month. My action item.
Yeah.
Mike?
And JD, I don't know if you just talked about this, but I sent something in yesterday, I think, or the day before, about this overtime section for the police officers. I thought there was a typo maybe made in when it was revised in last time in 2022 on page 47. talks about the special rules that officers have for overtime. It's in the italic section in the middle of the page. And it says under section 7K of the Fair Labor Standards Act, as interpreted by the Labor Department, an employee engaged in law enforcement activity that applies a 14-day consecutive day work period is entitled to 1 1/2 times the regular rate of pay if within that 14-day work period, the law enforcement employee works more than 84 hours. Okay. And I sent a document over from the Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division that says officers working a 14-day work period must receive overtime after 86 hours. So I don't know if that's a typo or why that's a discrepancy from what the law says.
Mike, I'm still trying to get to the right section.
Page 47.
Yeah, well, I think our pages are numbered a little differently. What's the subsection?
It's compensation overtime. Right in the middle of the page.
Yeah, I have that on page 44. Okay. Under set, okay. Matt, have you found it? Mark, do you know, I've caught up with what he's talking about?
Oh, yeah, I'm there now. Page 44 at the bottom, Mark.
Yeah.
44. That's interesting. Okay. How can our pages be off like this? This is kind of an interesting tool. Anyway, it's compensation overtime. Department heads will authorize overtime subject to normal department work schedule. Is everyone there?
Yes.
Yes.
So it says that the officers will be paid for any hours worked over 84 in that 14-day period. And as I said in my note on the side there, the Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division rules state that officers working a 14-day work period must receive overtime after 86 hours. So, is this a typo or?
I think it was put in there to fit how we pay currently, which is at 7 shifts, 12-hour shifts, 84 hours. We pay our officers for anything over 84 hours. We pay them in time and a half.
That's not what the law says, though.
And I can agree, but that's what the town has agreed to pay them is for anything over 84 hours. Just the law itself says after 86 is what they have to do. If the town chooses to do something differently, as long as we cover it in the handbook, we can do that. For example, the state of Indiana, for all law enforcement officers, has a new policy that they pay double time for any time an officer works a traffic grant. All we had to do was submit a letter stating that we would agree to pay the officers that overtime. And I'm sure that doesn't match up to Fair Labor Standards Act, but it was approved policy. So currently our officers work 12-hour shifts. Anything over their 12-hour shift or anything over 84, we currently pay them time and a half.
Yeah,
Wait a second. Wait, Mark, you said anytime over 8 hours in a day, we pay them time and a half?
Anything over 84 hours in a time period, we pay them time.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
80.
Yeah, I think Mike, thank you for bringing this up. I think it adds confusion by referencing the Fair Labor Standards Act, a section and subsections, very specific, that says something entirely different, as opposed to just stating a policy.
Town policy.
Is that,
So, so this is, we think this is, I just want to, we don't want to go through this and find out we've got the wrong numbers in here. So I just want to make sure we're legally covered here.
yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if we, well, first of all, if that first section, under section 7K of the Fair Labor Standards Act, that's interpreted by the Department of Labor, should that be stricken? Because we're not
following it.
not following it. And Mike Cottle. And
I would, that's the language that's the language that sets what should be done. You know what, let me ask the attorney if we're if we can do this, if we can, legally. I mean, I don't care. The point is, I don't want to have something illegal written down here that we say, well, we didn't know.
yeah, I guess that's, the question is I think to the lawyer is, we be more strict than the Fair Labor Standards Act. My instinct says the answer is going to be yes, that our policy can be more strict.
No, it's more liberal. Can we be more liberal than the policy?
Yes, go from 86 to 84.
Right. Okay.
It's that, but it's worth the question. And if the answer is yes, then it's not a
Yeah,
violation.
then there's no issue.
We can get rid of the reference.
Yeah.
And just make it policy.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So, sorry, just to confirm for me, it's simply the 84 hours versus 86?
Yeah.
In the extensions, okay.
Yeah,
It's nothing to do with that time frame. Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's right here.
That
It says, we have to do it at 86. We can't say 9.
okay.
We can say it's 80, which is, it's 84 because it's multiple 12. Right?
Yep.
And is it clear if someone reads this, that even though that this is the standard, that we have done it differently and it's okay? I mean, do you get that just?
I don't. I don't. Do you? I think it is misrepresenting what the Fair Labor Standards Act actually is.
I think, to Mike's point, the Fair Labor Standards Act is that it is law, it's policy that says to protect people, to make sure that they're compensated for, that minimum 86 hours. I can tell you there's some law enforcement departments that work 84 hours in a 2-week period, and they pay their officers time and a half for anything over 80 hours, just because they choose to do that. And it's in their policies that anything over 40 hours a week, 80 hours, bi-weekly. So if they work 84, 86, they get the 4 or 6 hours of time and a half. Town of Long Beach historically has always paid their officers overtime, time and a half for anything over 84 hours. It's just been past practice.
We were on a 28-day work period 3 years ago.
Right, I'm just saying it doesn't matter if you're on a 28, a 14, whatever it is, every pay period, towns and cities handle things differently. And
Right.
we should have
Okay.
a handbook how we do it.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
But I do
Okay.
think a note in here for the attorney is
It's more.
consider revising language.
to match our current,
Yeah, we should say what we do here. And if this is what we do, then let's just check it. Okay. I got it. I understand. Let's check it and then we can move on. I mean, move forward or whatever the next step is. Thanks.
Yeah, and I just put that note in there, consider it.
Yep, 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 yep,
It adds confusion to that.
yeah.
Any other items were scheduled to 2:50? I have 2:50.
I have one item to bring up.
Okay.
We have currently a full-time position within the police department. Our executive administrative assistant position is open. And I've spoke to the town council president, Joy Schmidt. She has given me authorization to move forward with posting the job, which has been done on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and social media. I would like to make the recommendation to include a member of the HR committee to sit in on the interviews that will start next week. I would like to recommend that Meg Collins possibly sit in because she will be working with the individual that we will be hiring in the future. Unless there is another volunteer, I think Meg would be suitable to assist, given the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the 3 days next week. I'm looking at starting the interviews. I have about 30 applications on ZipRecruiter, I believe 20 on Indeed, and I think
Great.
two walk-ins so far. Disappointing to say that most of the applications are not qualified for the position. They're either CDL truck drivers, customer service clerks. They don't have a lot of administrative executive background, but there is a handful, approximately maybe 6 or so that we may be able to get in for interviews and potentially find a good candidate for the town. So I just wanted to bring the HR committee up to speed on where we're at with the opening. My goal would be to possibly have a potential candidate in front of the town council at the September 9th meeting. And I will keep you updated as I work on this process to find the administrative assistant.
To that end, you recommended Meg to sit in. I do not have availability during.
And I thought too, Meg brings,
I can be available. Yes, my kids start on Wednesday, and I'm here across.
That doesn't negate the fact though, is if Mike, you wanted to participate.
I'll have at least another member of the police administration that will be sitting in as well. So.
I mean, more than one person. If someone had availability, if Mike or Georgetta had availability too, they want to invite them into the process, but that would be.
Totally open as long as everybody can work around our schedule, because I'd like to, I'm here next week. Following week, I'm at conference, and I hope to have a person in front of the council before or at the September 9th meeting would be the goal. As long as we have a qualified candidate.
So at this point, Mark, if you want to keep us involved of when it is, and if anybody is available, please feel free to participate.
And I'll email everybody the times of the future interviews. In fact, I'm staying over late tonight to start getting notifications out to some of the applicants and that to schedule interview times for next week.
Question.
Good.
You say that you have a large number in the pool, and you kind of pulled out the ones who were clearly not qualified.
I have on ZipRecruiter and on Indeed. You can give them a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a maybe. And I've been rejecting the ones that don't have qualifications. And then I have a handful that fit the qualifications. Then I narrow my list down. And then the ones I've narrowed the list down to, I've individually emailed them the town's application, asking that they complete the town's application. Once I get the application back, then I would ask to confirm interview time for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, get them in for initial interview. narrow it down, hopefully to, at least 2 or 3 potential candidates. And then if need be, do a second round of interviews to narrow it down to a final candidate, if such a process is needed. So, but there's a good couple applicants in there that work for other government entities near us that have executive assistant, qualifications. So I hope to find somebody qualified.
Okay, that's our way forward.
Yeah, and then two, just to let everybody know that also then the council would approve the hiring of the individual and would also approve the salary hourly rate for the individual based upon the salary range that the salary ordinance currently states is $18 to $22 an hour. And then that would be approved by council when presented to them.
So Mark, you're following the town of Long Beach new hire recruitment steps that you put together?
Pretty close, as fast as I can. There's some deviation, but the reason for the deviation is I'm currently playing police executive, administrator and police chief and everything else. So I'm without a secretary right now, so I'm having to do everything myself. But yeah, pretty close.
Okay, well, if you need help, there's a human resource committee that can help you out.
I appreciate it. That's why I just want to let you guys know if anybody's available for the interviews. I'm going to start scheduling those in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, and sounds like some people may be available to help. So good. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Are there any other items that need to be discussed before we adjourn?
What I have is, did we post the training division commander to the website? Our town website? Did we put the job description in there?
I don't know if we have the other ones posted on there or not.
Okay. Who,
You mean of the opening or just the job
No.
description? Into
the job
section?
description, the job description.
No, I haven't, and Mike, I haven't touched that section
Okay.
since you had me post those, what, 2 years? When do you think that was, when you guys worked on the job description?
No, it's the one it's the one that we just finished for the training division.
On the website, I haven't updated that in a while, so it needs some attention. So yes, I can post the new police one. And then also Mark's open position. Mark, do you want that posted on there as an opening? Is that part of our process or no?
Maybe it's.
Or sort of optional?
I think we should. Anytime we have one, we should put it on.
Well, it's been posted,
Okay.
it was posted on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'm making a note to also work on that.
Okay.
Yes.
The other thing is kind of a dumb thing, but we
Right,
get a lot of emails that people send out responding to other emails. So something will be sent to a group of 15 and the person will respond, thank you, or yes, or something, and send it back out to all 13. Does it make sense to try and those responses? Can we boil that down to the people who need to get the yes or the thank you? It just puts more email in our
You can't
boxes.
filter through. I would be shocked if IT could find a way. Because
No. I think we need to ask the people to do it. When you don't hit respond
yeah.
all, just hit the respond to the
I would
person
call
who's sending them.
I would call that politics, Mike. Just delete them or ignore them. That's up to Mark if he wants to send. I mean, I've always just, sometimes I feel that I should respond on some of those, but I don't for that reason. So I don't know. Mark and I will talk about that. How about?
Okay, great. Yeah, it's just.
A good suggestion.
I'm not trying to single anybody out. It's just from an efficiency point of view, it just it's 15 people don't need to get a thank you or a okay or whatever.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
So moved.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, Mike. See you later.
Thank you.